How are transitions managed in ETCS between the levels? Well, it's all down to priority tables. It's the priority tables that actually drive the level transitions, not commands from the trackside, as you might expect. It is the actioning of those changes to the priority table which actually cause the change in level. So our priority tables are really important. They do all of the hard work. So what is it that the trackside sends to the onboard? Well, it will send a new priority table. And it will also include where that priority table becomes active. It may become active immediately, or it may become active at a certain location further down the track. And the trackside also instructs the onboard how to process the new priority table. So let's have a look at that in a bit more detail. But before we do, we should just note that these instructions can be sent both by the Belize or by radio message. So what does the train do? Well, when it receives a priority table, it looks through it and establishes which level would apply when the command is processed. If the priority table is to apply at a later location, then it will immediately start displaying an announcement to the driver indicating the level that will be adopted when that location is reached. Should be noted that it just announces the future change. It doesn't tell the driver where it will occur. And at the applicable location, or if it is immediate, it will change the level as required. Not every change in the priority table will lead to a change in level. So how does the onboard establish which level it needs to change to, if it needs to change at all? Well, there are a set of levels which are available on board, and there are also the tables within the priority table. The onboard looks to see which of those which are available on board are also contained in the priority table. Having established which of those levels are in both, then for a level transition order, it is the highest in the priority table which is adopted. Whereas for a conditional level transition order, if the current level is already in that priority table, nothing happens. Otherwise, it is the same as for a level transition order, with the highest in the priority table being adopted. Now, you might be asking, what happens if the priority table includes a level that the train doesn't support? Or, more importantly, what if it doesn't support any of the levels in the priority table? Well, let's just consider how the onboard decides which levels are available. For levels 0 and 1, they are always considered available, and this is listed in the relevant chapter 5 of subset 26. For levels 2, 3, and the future, if it exists, level R, then it is based on whether there is an active data radio available in the onboard. The data radio doesn't have to have an active session, it doesn't need to be communicating with the RBC or a network, but if it is available, then it is considered that levels 2 and 3 are available. For level NTC, then it depends on how that is interfaced with the ETCS onboard. If there is an STM, it will be reporting that it is in cold standby and it is ready, or an interface can also report that the level NTC is available. If none of the levels are available, which are listed in the priority table, then the transition still occurs. Now that may seem a bit counterintuitive. Why are we changing to a level that is not supported by the onboard? And even more counterintuitive is why do we switch to the lowest priority in the lit priority table? Well, it's because the table is telling us that the levels we were working in are no longer available. Therefore, a change needs to occur. And by changing to a priority, a level in the priority table, generally that will generate an announcement to the driver or some other reaction that will lead to the system remaining in a safer situation than the driver believing they were fully protected. Talking about acknowledgements, when do they occur? Well, Early on, virtually every level transition required acknowledgement by the driver. But as time has moved on, it's been realized that you only need to alert the driver if they are taking significantly more responsibility for the management of the train. So typically now it is when ETCS stops supervising the train, or when a national system is disconnected or enabled. And as I say, the list of which level transitions generate an acknowledgement has been updated as the specifications have moved on. Where the priority table is announced to take place at a later location, the trackside can also define a distance before the transition where an acknowledgement will be requested. So the driver can be asked to acknowledge that they are ready to undertake the transition to the new level. Whether they acknowledge it before or no acknowledgement window is provided, they will have a maximum of 5 seconds after the transition has actually occurred to acknowledge it, otherwise the system will intervene. So what does the driver get to see? Well, if the transition is announced, then they will get an announcement icon displayed on the DMI underneath the circular speed gauge. And it will tell them which level is going to be transitioned to and the fact that it'll occur in a at a future location. Just to repeat, it doesn't say where it occurs, and this does not appear in the planning area. At the point when an acknowledgement is required, if the transition does require acknowledgement, then the announcement icon goes to yellow and the driver will be required to acknowledge it no more than 5 seconds after the transition has taken place. This icon can apply both before the transition or after the transition where acknowledgement is required. And once the train has transitioned, then the level is displayed to the left of the circular speed gauge as a permanent reminder to the driver the level they are operating in.